This is a wonderful prelude by Matteo Carcassi. And we have in this 16th notes, which we haven't actually encountered in grade 1 in the cornerstone method. However, they are just equal divisions of each beat into 4. So we counted eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's equal divisions of each beat into 2. And we count these 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and And it continues on for the entire piece. Whenever we have a piece that's got these running 16th notes or running 8th notes, we can often have a lot of expressive possibilities that happen with the elasticity of the tempo. We call that tempo rubato. So we're speeding up and slowing down. And the way we choose to do that is to do with phrasing. And the phrasing in this piece is a little asymmetric, but it's quite clear. So the first musical idea, a phrase is just a musical idea that makes sense into itself. The first phrase is just 2 measures long. Doesn't feel complete, does it? That's because it keeps going on. But there's the next phrase, another 2 measures. So that seems like an idea in and of itself. It's another phrase, but it still doesn't feel complete. The third phrase is shorter. It's just 1 measure long. Still questioning, still incomplete. And then the last phrase, it's a long one, and it dies away. It has a diminuendo, will slow down and get quieter. It doesn't have a very resolute ending, does it? That's why it kind of has this brooding atmosphere about it. At the very end there, we get this pedal. That's the A. We're in the key of A minor, and the pedal tone is named from organ music, where players of the organ would use their feet, pedals, to play the pedals. And so they would have their foot down on the note. Here's the pedal, and you play notes above it. Pedal tone. And that's what we have in the last 4 measures of this piece, that A pedal tone. So it does resolve to A, it comes back to A, but it's a little brooding, a little mysterious, and definitely not resolute like this. As we might find in other classical pieces. So we've got the phrasing, we've worked out the 16th notes. I've talked a little bit about the elasticity of those notes as we can figure out from that phrasing. And we've recognized a pedal tone as it goes towards the end of the piece. Now, what can we bring out at the beginning here? We've got a bass line and we've got accompaniment. So the bass line has its own stem going down. I think that's the most interesting thing at the beginning. It's got movement, it's got a bit of rhythm, whereas the accompaniment above it is just going. It's kind of harmony accompanying that bass line. So what I would do is bring out that bass line by playing the thumb louder than the accompaniment. And the way we do that is both by playing I and M a little softer and also putting a bit more energy into the thumb, pressing down perhaps towards the ground just with a bit more force. The thumb is very good at separating itself from the other voices, the other fingers in the hand. So that's sometimes why we use the thumb in one particular voice, to make it nice and strong and bring that out. So bringing out the bass to start off with. As we go into the second phrase, we get a line that appears on the top with the A finger. hugely interesting, but I think it's definitely a musical line. And in combination with the bass, it makes a little bit of a duet. So we can bring out that top line by pushing the A finger a little bit. Now, when we have the A finger playing on the first string, remember to be careful about tone quality. It's very easy to be very bright and brittle with that tone by going straight across the string, a right angle to the string. So you can turn your wrist just a little bit and have the nail go a bit more lengthwise along the string, downwards along the string. That will get you a warmer tone. In the third phrase, just that single measure, the bass line is a lot more active. Then it almost doesn't do anything at all for the last phrase. So we want to bring out that bass line nice and clearly in the first three measures, and then the first three phrases, and the last phrase just has that diminuendo sort of disappearing into the ether. A couple of other things to look out for in this piece is how we use the left hand. Now, when we have left hand chords, we have to move the fingers all at the same time to land right on the beat. However, when those chords are arpeggiated, like they are here, A minor, one note at a time, F major, and we have a suspension to E7. All of those fingers can move sequentially. So we can move them one at a time and stay very relaxed in the left hand. You'll notice at the beginning that the first harmony, A minor, has the A on the second finger there. And look at the harmony as it goes to the third and fourth beat. That second finger stays down in the next chord. So we can keep that second finger down for the entire first measure, and then we look at the second measure, it's still down in the first two beats. So watch my second finger as I play through the first three harmonies. So that really helps keep the left hand stable, and we don't have to move it at all. Sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not so obvious, but it can help us quite a lot. So it's worth digging into the fingering and always identifying when there are opportunities to keep a finger down as it transitions through the music. Now, just as a little experiment or slight aside, as we're going from beat 2 to beat 3 in measure 2, it looks like this. And you'll see the second finger jumps there from the A to the E. Now we do need to be able to do this in music. It happens quite a lot. However, if you want to get a little bit creative with the fingering, you can actually work out a fingering that means that we don't have to hop with that second finger. So let me just put that in context again. Starting in the second measure, watch my second finger. Now you can do that. You can hop successfully, clean tone, nice and legato. However, often it's nice to look for fingers that are not being used so that it's an easier transition. So for example, if we had 3 on here instead of 2, it might look like this. So that second finger only has to come down. It's doing nothing beforehand, so there's no hop. So there'd be an opportunity there to re-finger that second measure, and one opportunity could be like this. We start out on the last 16th note, we actually swap to the third finger. Now it creates a little more choreography, but can you see how it makes that transition a little better, a little more musical. So sometimes it's going to be a little bit of a toss-up between simplicity of fingering versus musical outcomes. You could equally do the first finger somewhere. You could transition into the first finger. You could slide the first finger from A to G sharp. So there's a couple of options there. Worthwhile just playing around just to get used to that concept. So when we're talking about fingering, I think the most active fingering comes in the second phrase, so measure 3 and 4. And think again of sequential fingering and think about where your free fingers are. So the G is coming up in the bass, so think about the third finger being around where the G is. It doesn't have to be right over the fret, but over towards it, as opposed to this. In the beginning stages, I see a lot of this, the fingers tucked into the hand, but they can be over the G, ready to go. So measure 3. G's ready to go, it just comes down. Same with the first finger now. We look at this more and more as we work on classical guitar repertoire as left hand preparation. So the left hand fingers are becoming very independent and they're moving towards their next destination early. Now in measure 4 we've gone 3 and we have those all that time to get our first finger down. That's that sequential fingering that happens with arpeggios. Now watch this one. There's 3 fingers that have to go down, so 2 is hovering over where it needs to go. 1, 4. In sequence. They don't go as a block, they go in sequence. Measure 4. It's really easy to take advantage of that, and it helps make the left hand very smooth and subtle and flowing. That's part of why good players make it look easy. So just have a look now at my left hand. I'm going to play the first 4 lines of music there, first 4 measures. Just have a look at my fingers, how they go towards their next destination. Watch my third finger first. So they're all, and it makes it look easy and smooth, and that's what you want to do as well. So we're trying to make it as simple and as efficient as possible, and that's all done by that left hand independence and left hand transitions from one harmony to another. So I think there's a lot of room for this to be quite flexible. We start loud with a forte, but we can have some swells in the middle of the phrases with dynamics and tempo. And we can end quite mysteriously with a diminuendo and maybe a rallentano, maybe slowing down as well. So if I were to be really dramatic with this, you could even speed it up a little bit. Changing tone. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of things you can do with this very simple piece. I love the musical language in this. It almost sounds modern. So have fun with this Prelude by Matteo Carcassi.